Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're Pixel Pond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest, providing high-quality content to clients across the US and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
This time on Gamers Week podcast.
I gotta give credit to Sega for continuing Sonic's name, continuing the exposure piece, trying to expose younger and younger audiences to Sonic, because that's the last thing that they have to grip onto. Let's be honest.
But we've talked about this before. Sega is so much more than just Sonic the Hedgehog, and they need to capitalize on that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I just said. We talked about that.
But who brings in the money for them?
Because they don't do anything else with any of the other IPs.
I know, but they can't make Altered Beast, Topgolf. Nobody's going.
This guy's going.
Every time you swing at the club, it goes, power up.
Maybe we would go.
Right.
I had the wildest dream last night, Ryan.
Oh, boy.
Hold on. Let me get the lotion.
So the three of us were at a sandwich shop. And Ryan's sitting down at the table. He's got his food. I'm leaning against the table because I'm waiting for my food. And then, Donnie, you're at the counter. You're ordering. And I turn around and Ryan has grabbed this giant fistful of ranch dressing packets. So he puts them on the table and then he takes his feet and he swings them up on the table. But they are like giant Big Bird feet.
So my feet. Okay, got it.
And he's wearing dark gray toe socks where they have like the little individual toes on the socks. So he swings his giant toe sock Big Bird feet up on the table. He takes the ranch dressing packets, opens them up, and starts squeezing them over his toes. And then he starts wiggling his toes so the ranch dressing goes between his toes. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's the stuff. And I actually woke up, like jolted awake, like, what the fuck?
You just described my nightmare.
That's probably why I suddenly woke up.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Traumatized.
Oh my God, it's gross.
I'm kind of... Have we been spending that much time together to where you're dreaming about us?
Like
in your off time?
Not usually like that.
Yeah, there's other.
And then I couldn't go to sleep afterwards because I spent a lot of time like going, what the f*** is wrong with me?
Everybody, welcome. Thank you for stopping in and joining us this evening. Welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 142, and today is Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. My name is donniegretro, and I will be your lovely host this evening. But as you can see, I am not alone. I have with me my two wonderful co-hosts. My first co-host recently saw Mike Tyson at a local brony convention, ass cheeks and all. Mr. Ryan Payne, can you tell us how that went?
I found out that Mike's favorite pony is Derpy.
Derpy. I don't know that particular pony, so I don't know why that fits with Mike Tyson.
You don't have to know. You really don't.
And my second co-host has looked through the future and all the possible outcomes, and she didn't find one scenario in which having sex with your clone doesn't result in the end of the human race. Blue, how are you doing this evening?
There's a really, really good explanation behind where that introduction came from. If you're not a patron, you have no idea. But just don't have sex with your clone. That's really the bottom line.
I was going to say, that's not the conclusion I came to at all. My conclusion was have sex with as many of your clones as possible. You just have to keep going. You just have to keep doing it, right?
I guess if you don't mind being stuck in an eternal time loop, but
I'm getting laid.
By yourself.
Nah,
The hand. Just use the hand and you won't have a complete societal meltdown.
The risk I'm willing to take, sir.
Yeah. All right. A couple of quick announcements before we get started. Next week is the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S., so we will be taking the week off. There will also be no new episode the following week, which is Friday, December 7th, because both Ryan and myself will be out of town. And new episodes will resume Friday, December 14th. So let's go on to our reviews, reactions, and requests. At Cactizaddy says, love the story about the streamer taunting Nintendo legal. Keep up the good work. Yes, we are proud of him, but also it's like you might want to watch the toes that you're stepping on.
Ranch toes.
At Main Street Electrical Arcades, what'd you say?
ranch toast.
Oh, the ranch. It makes this squish sound. Main Street Electrical Arcade says, I honestly just don't know about the choice to make Indiana Jones and the Great Circle first person, especially with the whip seemingly being a key mechanic. Just seems like it won't feel that great, but we'll see in a few weeks.
Mr. Blue actually had the same thought. He says, it looks slow and clunky. And I said, well, maybe for somebody who only ever plays Warzone, it might feel a little slow and clunky, but I think it's going to be okay for Indiana Jones.
And at KCW Creative says, the company has said it's pronounced 8-bit do. I refuse to say it that way. So it's all personal preference, kind of like GIF and GIF.
Well, in that case, he's just playing wrong.
Yeah, because it's GIF.
Yeah, it's GIF.
Exactly. Even though the creator said it was GIF or something like that. It's like,
the creator is wrong.
Of course. Absolutely. 100%.
So are we officially saying that on the podcast it will always be 8-bit dough? Are we?
I don't have a strong preference of do over dough.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm okay to say 8-bit do.
Fine. I thought we were going to be controversial.
I'll say 8-bit dough.
Okay, there you go. And we can fight about it later if you want.
Perfect.
Ranch fight.
Ranch fight.
Freak ranch fight accident.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to our patron shoutouts.
All right, we couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. Gamatroid, Muradib, Michael Lekite, Emo S, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcakes, Pickle Pepper, Duck with Thick Thighs, Absolutely the Best Podcast, Wizard of Zardovs, Bobson Dugnut, Blues Little Sis, Loud Moth, Retro Blast Pat, D&T Zillaguy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Kinnair, Agil 2020, Don't Make Me Pull This Car Over, Games with Coffee, Hybrid Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, The Pixel Pond Family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach Huge Thing, #1 Blue Sick Voice fan, John Baran, Saucy but not Cranberry Sauce, Sony, Evil Lust, Ry's Secret Best Friend, and Mega Retro Man. If you like what you hear, we really hope that you do. Please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing, like prizes and giveaways. You also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut. Patrons with benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
Webhead says, Homer Simpson, it's 8-bit dope.
That's great marketing. Speaking of The Simpsons, the voice actor that does Milhouse, she's retiring. And now
after
they're going to be
35 years.
Yeah. They're going to be getting somebody else to do the voice for Milhouse, and they're taking submissions. So
I think it's time to kill off Milhouse.
Oh,
Jeez.
no.
I'm just
Why?
saying it's hard to replace a voice once you've gotten to know a certain voice. So it's better just kill off the character or something.
Nah,
I
we can
guess
find somebody.
TK says everything's coming up Millhouse. Well, if we're killing, not if we're killing them off.
Everything's not coming up Millhouse. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our headlines for the evening.
All right, our headline segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic, family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and Hugh pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they're playing through Bonk 3 and Zelda 2. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
I've never played Bonk 3, but
I didn't
Zelda
even know
2...
there was a Bonk. I don't know how many Bonks there are. I am aware that there's Bonk, but like I've never played any of them.
There's at least 3.
Isn't Bonk 3 on the TG16, I want to say? All right. So, and for what I understand, too, it's also like a fairly rare and expensive game. So,
it is.
More than likely why I have not played it.
You can just emulate it.
Retro says there's 5 main Bonk games and 2 shmup zonk games.
Is Zonk the same as Bonk?
I would be into a shmup bonk game.
How does that work?
There's stuff flying around his head, and you gotta, I don't know,
Eat
maneuver
the
it.
meat? Okay.
That reminds me of like that one shooter where it's got the muscle bound guys, right? And it's on the PS2 in Japan only, where it's like you're like a guy flying through the air with like a big Vikings helmet on, right? And you're shooting. It's a shmup. It's the wildest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Right. Somebody's gonna know what I'm talking about in chat. I just can't remember the name of it right now. But yes, that sounds a little bit. I mean, not to that degree, of course, because that's like the weirdest game that's ever been made.
Right.
But I just can't wrap my head around a Bonk shoot 'em up.
What's he shooting?
Right. And by the way, the name of the game is called Cho Aniki.
Yes,
Joe
that's it.
Aniki.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know it, look it up because it is bonkers.
Right. CHO space ANIKI. Trust me.
We trust
You
you.
can thank me later.
All right. First up in this week headlines, Sony could soon be acquiring FromSoftware's parent company, according to a report by Reuters. Kadokawa Corporation is home to some pretty major developers, including Danganronpa's Spike Chunsoft and Octopath Traveler's Acquire. And it has an almost 70% stake in Elden Ring Dark Souls studio FromSoftware. It's not just games either, as the media conglomerate also owns Nico Nico, which is essentially Japan's alternative to YouTube. Additionally, this would also be yet another step in Sony's move towards monopolistic control over manga and anime properties, when they are already an enormous powerhouse in that segment thanks to their acquisition of anime streaming service Crunchyroll and, by extension, Funimation. Sony declined to comment on this report, and Kadokawa said it couldn't comment. Why can't you do it? Or thought we were friends. Unlike Microsoft's $69 billion purchase of Activision Blizzard, it's unclear what, if any, regulatory scrutiny there might be for this Sony-Kadokawa deal. Is this huge news?
I think it's huger news in Japan than it is here, though I think it would become huge news in our circles when the next FromSoft game comes out and Sony says it's a timed exclusive for the first year on PS whatever at the time, and then the internet would blow up. Absolute blow up. But most of the talk over this deal that I've heard does come from the anime and the manga fans online who are legitimately concerned about how much power over that whole industry this gives Sony.
And I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things that I think will create some scrutiny is how much is the price tag, right?
Yeah.
Because that $69 billion purchase, obviously there was a lot of value in that. So they recognized that it needed to be that much. Mm-hmm. And the second piece to that is how monopolistic is it going to make them, right? Sony's whole deal right here is they're trying to corner the market. So similar to what we saw, I think, with Microsoft is when Microsoft went and forward with it, you know, they had the European or the EU going after them, setting laws and saying whether or not it was going to be.
They had to convince the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So is Sony going to have to do the same thing? And if that's the case, I would say that the US likes to bust monopolies as often as possible. So this might be difficult if it's a high price tag item. So we'll see. I think that this one is, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And you're right. I think for us, at least, that would be a nightmare scenario, is to have Sony play dirty and say timed exclusives when, let's be honest, Microsoft could be doing that right now, and they're not. When it comes to
well,
Activision
they had
Blizzard.
to promise not to, just to even buy
right.
Activision
So
Blizzard.
why would Sony be able to do the same thing with granted, Activision Blizzard, much bigger company than FromSoftware, but still.
Well, Kadokawa.
I just chose to say FromSoftware because I can't pronounce that.
Okay.
But in order to do business in the US with these companies, we have certain business requirements in order to do that from a trade perspective. So could they purchase that and then not release stuff from that company in the US? I highly doubt that would be.
No, I mean,
good
I
idea.
think the last couple of Sony exclusives, like let's say Final Fantasy 16, the gamble to make it exclusive didn't pay off. The sales were not at all what they needed to be. And so I kind of wonder if they will say, we've learned our lesson. If this happens, we're going to keep FromSoft games multi-platform. But then again, they might say that these games are so freaking popular that nope, we're going to keep them exclusive because Sony sometimes does crazy things.
Sometimes.
I just think that I know that exclusives are great for them. I know exclusives are a source of pride for certain fans of a console. I just think they're anti-consumerism, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but they don't care.
At the end of the day. I know they don't. But it forces your hand. And the thing is, if you're Sony and you sell that over to Microsoft or to Nintendo, you make money off of each one of those sales. So I don't see the purpose behind it at this point.
Yeah, it's not as much money as it would be on your own particular console,
Sure.
but it's still money nonetheless. And that's something we've touched on before. It's like, why wouldn't you want to maximize the amount of money that you bring in for these particular games? So if a Japanese company wants to buy a Japanese studio, I don't understand. My small mind doesn't understand the business practices as why that would affect the US market. I could still release a game that we make and we make specifically for the US people. Why would that have any obstruction for my ability to be able to release a game in the United States?
In order to do business internationally and ship units over to the United States, it has to reach certain trade criteria often. So the government doesn't have to. They don't have to block this. They really don't. But we as a company or as a country like to.
Okay. And I don't think this is that big of a deal because the United States as a collective, I don't think they really care that much about manga and anime as much as the Japanese cultures do.
Well, not as much as the Japanese culture, but
That's-
yeah, you're going to
yeah.
be careful upsetting
I
that
needed
army.
to finish my sentence.
Tekken85 says Square Enix learned a hard lesson on exclusives with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And Retro says, I just want to know if they go through with this, will they finally make Bloodborne 2? No. That title is cursed and it's never coming out.
Ouch.
Dux makes a great comment. Exclusives are a hard sell these days. So many games come out every single week. And I think that is the world that we're living in constantly, where games coming out are no longer this special event that it used to be. Like, oh my God, Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat's coming out, Mortal Kombat 2. Oh my God, I can't wait for it. Because it takes a while for the game to be developed and published and all that stuff. And now they're churning out games left and right. And it's just so convoluted and so bogged down. And you're like, what do I even play? What do I even want to get excited about? Oh, look, this game looks exactly like this game over here and exactly like that game over there. So what's the deal?
What's the deal with the games over there?
Games with Coffee says, whoa, let's not go to war on the otakus here. That's what I'm saying. I think that's a bad crowd to pick a fight with.
I'm not trying to go to war with anybody, just saying. Speaking of games with coffee, Sega has released a brand new Sonic game, but don't expect to be downloading it on your Nintendo Switch anytime soon, or ever actually, because it's exclusive to Topgolf. Yes, Topgolf Sonic the Hedgehog, originally announced in the latest Sonic Central showcase, is now playable at Topgolf venues across the US and Glasgow, with more localized versions arriving at additional worldwide locations in Q1 2025. The game is developed solely by Topgolf itself in collaboration with Sega, so we're not expecting anything close to the scale you'd expect from proper Sonic team-developed console titles. Instead, the game will utilize Topgolf's ball tracing technology, ball tracing, to allow, and Ryan is practicing his ball tracing right now for people listening at home. The Topgolf's ball tracing technology to allow attendees to practice their swing while enabling Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles to race across Green Hill Zone and Sky Sanctuary in an effort to climb the leaderboards. Exclusive merch will also be available as part of the collaboration, including hats and t-shirts featuring Sonic himself clutching Topgolf's The Sure Thing Club. Ugh, gross. I feel so disgusting reading that.
Why?
I just really that seems like Sonic is now in a cheesy, dimly lit nightclub in Vegas, performing his act that he's well known for, and he's wearing that velvet crushed suit, and he's got the toupee on. He's like, "Hey, everybody, I'm Sonic. Listen, look at me. I was popular in the '90s. You want to go home with me later? No, okay." And bring, and there's his rings, and you're like, "Oh my god, I feel so bad for this guy."
That's just not a sock in my crotch.
This ring goes on something else.
No.
I've gone to Topgolf. Me and the family have gone there before, and they have the Angry Birds game, the mini game that you can do. All right, so they have the Angry Birds set up, and you hit your shot in the direction, and you hope it knocks down something, destroys the TNT that breaks down the buildings and all that crap. It's fun. It's exciting. But realistically speaking, for how much Topgolf charges you to go and play that, I'm going to just go play golf.
I didn't even know what Topgolf was. We just got one, I guess, a couple months ago, but I've never been. How much does it cost?
It's like $50 a person per round or something like that. And the rounds only last like 4 or 5 minutes, right? Because you're just...
No, they charge by the hour.
Oh, is it by the hour? You're right. It's by the bay. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep.
So how much is it per hour?
It's the 50. It's like the 40 or 50 per person, right?
Jesus, hang on a second.
It's outrageous, though. One of the things that I got the opportunity to do it for was with corporate events. So when I was working for a company in Vegas, they would bring people out all the time to Topgolf because they had like a company discount. So got to play a lot of Topgolf. The booze were free, so that helped as well. But that was before they started like doing like fun games with it. It was just like, get up there, whack a ball, or it's your turn, you know?
So I just looked it up. In the mornings, up until noon, it's $28 an hour. From noon to 5, it's $38 an hour. And then from 5 to close, it's $50 an hour.
Yeah, and that's like if it's a nice day outside, then it's going to be even more because they kind of have the surge pricing thing.
Yep.
Where it's just like you go in there and you can't get a bay, and they're like, "Hey, we know people are going to pay to play here, so we can charge whatever we want."
A lot of places will have you have to book in advance, right? So you'll book a specific time. If you're like a microsecond late too, they're like, "Sorry, too bad, so sad. Have a great day." So
I think golf is boring as on like the best of occasions. So why on earth would I want to go here? And like Sonic is not ever going to be the thing that's going to make me decide to go do this.
It would be Silksong if they partnered with Topgolf and they were releasing Silksong as an exclusive, as a Topgolf exclusive.
I think if that happened, I would go in and say, I don't want to play. Can I just watch? Just so I can see. Phrasing. Just so I can see how it looks, because I'd be like, this is horrendous.
I think though, if they had exclusive to Topgolf and the knowing that it was going to be a limited time merch for your favorite IP, you're telling me you wouldn't go at least play so you could have access to the merch?
No, because it's got Topgolf all over it. I mean, I think Donnie was a little dramatic at the beginning, but I think he's right in that this feels like a cheap crossover that nobody asked for. And yet it's going to have kids pointing at their TVs and screaming that they want to go to Topgolf. And their parents are like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I gotta give credit to Sega for continuing Sonic's name, continuing the exposure piece, trying to expose younger and younger audiences to Sonic, because that's the last thing that they have to grip onto. Let's be honest.
But we've talked about this before. Sega is so much more than just Sonic the Hedgehog, and they need to capitalize on that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I just said. We talked about that.
But who brings in the money for them?
Because they don't do anything else with any of the other IPs.
I know, but they can't make Altered Beast, Topgolf. Nobody's going.
This guy's going.
Every time you swing at the club, it goes, power up.
Maybe we would go. Games with Coffee says, honestly, Sonic and golf have a bit of history. Back in the 90s, they used to have tournaments featuring Sonic, or so I've read.
Interesting.
Okay.
Rise from your grave. The way you typed that out made me think of the priest in The Princess Bride.
Yes.
Marriage.
It's what brings us together today. All right, moving on. The iconic DK rap song has been remade after 25 years. Released as the introduction cutscene in 1999's Donkey Kong 64, the song was originally conceived by Rare designer George Andreas and written by legendary video game composer Grant Kirkhope. Andreas co-wrote and performed the lyrics, with Rare staffers joining in the chorus. It's like the Super Bowl shuffle. Now the DK rap has been remade, courtesy of original composer Grant Kirkhope and rapper Substantial, bringing it fully up to date, albeit with one eye firmly on the past. Kirkhope himself called the original DK rap the worst rap track in the history of rap tracks. But it's nice to see Kirkhope getting to experience some personal hype for his now much improved song, since the 2023 animated Mario movie used it and didn't even credit him. Shame.
Wow. Did him dirty.
I didn't get a chance to listen to the new song. I don't think I've heard the original song.
If we play it, can the chat hear it?
I think so. Let me try.
Yeah, it's not on Donnie's.
Okay. Yep.
Hopefully we don't get a strike against this, because it might be
DMCA strike.
Yeah. But let's try it.
The crew's finally back, performing for you. If you know all the words, you can say what it's to. Put your hands together, make a round of applause, and swing to the beat with these monkey bars. DK.
With these monkey balls or monkey paws?
Balls.
Anyway, that's enough for you to get the flavor of it. We don't have to listen to the whole thing.
I actually like the beat of it, so.
Yeah, the new one's not bad. The old one, you should find a link for that and play it, because it's real bad.
I will. I'll have to.
As you can imagine, because honestly, I didn't know that the guy who wrote it just rapped it himself, and then Rare staffers did the background. Who could have predicted that that would come up with a bunch of people in a British studio rapping? Like, that would be a terrible, terrible product.
80s and 90s came out with some really awful rap music from people who shouldn't be rapping.
You're right.
Like my grandparents.
Well, I was going to say Rodney Dangerfield. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Rapping Rodney.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I tell you, I'm all right now, but last week I was in rough shape. I don't get a break with nothing. I played hide and seek when I was 3.
No respect, no respect.
Why, they wouldn't even look for me.
No respect, no respect.
I was an ugly kid.
So I would argue to him, even if Grant Kirkhope thinks that that is the worst rap song ever, it's not. It's Rappin' Rodney. That is the most terribly awful, and it's like, it's not even funny, and he's a comedian, so it should be funny. It's not. It's like, I get no respect at all. It's just like, come on.
Ducks in Disguise says, it's fun to ignore notices from the DMCA.
It's a cease and desist.
Did you find the old one?
I did. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
Panera's mac and cheese, fave. Tomato soup in a bread bowl, fave.
Let's get away from the Panera bread commercial here. Okay, here's the old one.
Here we go.
Performance for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together.
finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's the first member of the DK crew. That's not bad. It's not terrible.
The recording quality of this is pretty ass. I gotta be honest. I feel like we should make that our theme song.
It almost sounds a little too live crewish.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Big booty hose, up with it. So, yeah, we've got a newer, updated DK rap song, which, I mean, I like the beat, and I don't think the original one is all that bad. So,
Yeah, but Donnie, you have a special love for everything that's cringy 90s.
This is true.
not everything.
No?
No, it's that's got a good beat. It's got a good beat to it. It doesn't sound terrible.
I guess you could say, like Grant Kirkhope could say, it's not my fault. I just wrote the music. The music's not bad.
There you go. Yeah.
Everything else, I had nothing to do with that part of it.
So what I don't understand about that is that every time somebody tried to do their own rap, it just doesn't sound like a rapper. And I don't understand why people never got that, right? Like, it's not just you go reading something, just going, you know, like, you got to follow along with the beat. You got to hit certain notes, right? Like this is an art form. It's not just you talking. It's not Captain Kirk going Rocket Man, right? I don't get it. I don't know why people couldn't figure that out.
She packed my bags last night, pre-flight.
Because I think 90s marketing, man, you wanted to be cool and you wanted to be hip, and that's how you were going to sell your product. And so, what's cooler and hipper than rap?
Yeah, like, or do your training videos like Wendy's did.
Yeah,
with the grill skills.
Skills with a Z.
Yep.
Ducks in Disguise says, oh, hey, Panera bread is bullshit. It's like 80% bread and then a slice of ham and a half a slice of cheese on a single lettuce leaf. And it's stupid expensive.
Yeah, I was like, and that'll be $20. Thank you.
And I got to be honest with you. Ducks in Disguise is the person that you want to talk to as far as bread goes.
I thought you were going to say is the person we want to talk to as far as rapping goes.
I don't know. Ducks.
I've never heard him rap.
Yeah, I've never. I think next karaoke night, we're going to have him do the Sugar Hill Gang. What is it?
Rapper's Delight.
Yeah.
Rapper's Delight. There we go.
I said a hip, hop, the hip, doing a hip, hip, hop, you don't stop. All right, moving on. The 2024 Game Awards nominees were announced this week, and a broad mix of 96 different games, teams, and individuals picked up nods across a range of categories. As ever, though, many folks are sure to be riled up about what did and did not make the cut. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Astro Bot led the way with 7 nominations each. Metaphor ReFantazio, a fantasy JRPG from the Persona 5 team, is right behind with 6 nods, while the excellent poker-esque roguelike Balatro and the Silent Hill 2 remake have 5 each. Shadow of the Erd Tree, the DLC expansion for 2022's Game of the Year Elden Ring, drew heavy criticism when it was handed its own Game of the Year nomination this year. According to the ceremony's FAQ, expansion packs, new game seasons, DLCs, remakes, and remasters are eligible in all categories if the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination. Factors such as the newness of the content and its price/value should be taken into consideration. A jury of more than 100 media and influencer outlets from across the globe determines the nominees. So here are the nominees and predictions. For Game of the Year, we have Astro Bot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. I already said that my pick was going to be Black Myth Wukong. And I think a couple of episodes ago, I said, like, oh my God, this game looks amazing. It looks great artistically. I don't really know about the gameplay. I haven't played it, but I think this game itself could be Game of the Year. And I think that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
I appreciate you sticking to your guns on that one, man. Yeah. No, seriously, that's commendable. I like it.
I can't help but notice they didn't put Star Wars Outlaws on the list.
Too soon?
I think that was a large oversight. So obviously that's what I predicted at the beginning of the year. It didn't even get nominated. We knew that was going to happen. So here's the thing. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, people freaking out online that it was nominated. I don't recall there being this much blowback last year when Cyberpunk's DLC got nominated for Game of the Year. I don't know if that's because everybody felt sorry for Cyberpunk as it released initially, and so this was like a mulligan for that game to get some awards, maybe. Maybe they feel like Elden Ring already got all the awards in 2022, and so their DLC shouldn't have more. Personally, I think if you called Shadow of the Erdtree Elden Ring 2, it would be the same. I mean, it's that big, it's that expansive, it's that good, and I think it deserves to be there. Just the question is, just because it says DLC on the end, should it be there or not?
So what are you picking for this particular category?
I think Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree deserves it, but I don't think it will win because Elden Ring already has its Game of the Year award. So I am going to say Astro Bot, which is also my personal choice because it's an absolutely fantastic game. It's the most fun game that I played all year.
I like it. I would have to talk with my 11-year-old son, who would probably agree with you in that regard because he bought it and within like 2 days he got the platinum trophy on it.
Yeah, but it's tough though because as we all know, it's not gamers voting on this.
Of course, yeah, influencers.
It's the journalists and the influencers are the ones who vote on Game of the Year. So it's like you pick what you want to win, but you have to also think like, what are those people going to vote?
Exactly. So Ryan, what about you? What's your choice in this category?
Well, sadly enough, Astrobot's the only one that I've played. But while I think it's a fun and fantastic game, I just don't think that it's going to get the nod for Game of the Year. Just because they don't have a tendency to give Game of the Year to simple games, right? Games that are just plain fun. They want these expansive stories and these narratives to go along with it. So unless like I'm missing something on Astrobot, then all of a sudden like, whoa, man, this story is really good.
You just don't get it, man.
Right. It's not that I'm just collecting other robots, man. So I think with that in mind, I think what that does is that leaves two for me for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Metaphor ReFantazio. I would really like Metaphor. I think overall Final Fantasy VII, even though, yes, it's different, it's still the rehashing of another story that's already been out there. So if I'm going with my heart as to what I would like to win, I think Metaphor would probably be the most. So Astrobot I'd love to win. Metaphor I think will win, so that's what I'm going to go with. Metaphor ReFantazio. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Retro says whoever is best friends with Geoff will win.
Geoff. So Blue is picking Astrobot. I am picking Black Myth Wukong, and Ryan is going with Metaphor ReFantazio for Game of the Year. Now, in the category of Best Narrative, we have the nominees of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. And I don't know if Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is actually, if it's fair to have that one up again, because I think it already won. Didn't it win like a Game of the Year back in the 90s? So really, you're going to have a remake win Game of the Year?
Well, I would say the same with Silent Hill 2 then.
Exactly. That's my, yeah. So, you know, I liked Silent Hill 2. I love the playthrough. The story was intense, but it's the same thing that we've experienced before. We know this story. It's just a little bit more polished and a little bit brighter or darker or what have you. So I don't really see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Silent Hill 2 winning. And unfortunately, I don't know much about the other three to really say one of these has a shot. So I'm going to go with Metaphor ReFantazio then, just out of like pulling one out of the hat.
Ducks in Disguise says Silent Hill 2 gets my vote purely for that one ending. You know which one.
I don't know which ending. Are you talking about the dog one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Blue, which one are you picking for Best Narrative?
I'm actually going to agree with you in that I don't know if games should be able to recycle the same story and come back and win again.
Right.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Silent Hill 2 have been part of that online debate along with Shadow of the Erdtree about whether DLC and remakes deserve their own category. But as far as best narrative for this year, I am going to put my money behind Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 because that has both of those games are really story driven. So my choice.
Blue stole mine.
Oh, no.
How could I steal yours if I went first?
I'll also go with Senua Saga Hellblade 2 because of exactly what you described. You're right. They are extremely story driven and they're pretty good. The one thing goes, isn't Like a Dragon like a Yakuza game?
Mm-hmm.
Like a dragon.
I guess there's a lot of my personal bias into that one. I was just like, oh, okay, it's a Yakuza game. It's just like a kind of like a Grand Theft Auto game, I guess. Whatever. Okay, yeah, Senua Saga Hellblade 2. Punch it.
All right. It's punched. Next up, Best Art Direction. Astro Bot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Metaphor Re Fantasio, or Neva. Neva. I don't think I've heard of Neva.
It's from the same studio that did Gree. They're a little
indie
studio that does super artsy games.
Then that's my choice. I typed it in, clicked on the first image, and I'm like, whoa, that's super artistic. Okay, we're going with Neva.
I think this is an interesting one. All of these have their own unique styles, like, and everyone's a different theme, right? So, like, Black Myth Wukong is kind of like a dark and foreboding. I would say Elden Ring is a little bit too. Astro Bot is like happy-go-lucky, hooray! You know?
Exactly.
But if I went with like what I enjoyed the most, I would say Astro Bot was fantastic. I loved it. I think it's really quirky and fun, and there's like a theme that follows along with it, which is of course the face of the robot, and that permeates throughout the rest of it. So I thought that was a really good choice in regards to kind of the art of the game. So I'm going to stick with Astro Bot.
This is always a tough one because there's so many beautiful games out there.
Right.
Of course.
And I think that sometimes, though, the best art direction can be used to kind of throw a bone to a game that it didn't get much else in other categories. So I'm going to go with Black Myth Wukong on this.
All right.
I think you might be right.
Hopefully.
Next up is the best score and music. We have Astro Bot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor Re Fantasio, Silent Hill 2, and Stellar Blade. You know, again, Final Fantasy VII, that score is amazing. You know, the Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel, all that stuff. But we've already had that. I don't know if you can take that again. And I'm not sure, since I haven't played the new ones, I don't know if they have newer songs and whatnot in the game. So I'm not sure if that one would win. Silent Hill 2, that soundtrack is freaking like, I had like hairs standing up on the back of my neck because of the soundtrack in there and the ambiance of the game. But again, it's a rehash. So based on these, I think I'm going to go with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Even though I haven't heard it, I'm going to go with that one.
I think that's a solid choice because the soundtrack to the original Final Fantasy VII is one of the best game soundtracks of all time.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So today when I was working, I listened to all of these soundtracks. And the final one that came on was Astro Bot. And that was the first time all day that I heard music and smiled. Because that game is just so joyful and so fun. And so I think that it's going to be a really tough thing to predict. But because I smiled, I'm going Astro Bot.
Ryan, what made you smile?
What sparks joy on me on this one,
yes.
I think is probably Metaphor Re Fantasio on this one as well. I think this one's going to do particularly good at the Gaming Awards. So I'm going to go with that one.
All right. You heard it here, folks. Next up is Best Performance. We have Brianna White for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hannah Tell with Life is Strange, Umberly Gonzalez for Star Wars Outlaws. There you go, Blue. Luke Roberts in Silent Hill 2, and Melina Jurgens for Senua Saga Hellblade 2. The only one of these that I have seen is Luke Roberts for Silent Hill 2, which I'm assuming is James Sunderland.
No, he's Pyramid Head.
I mean, wow, what a performance from Pyramid Head.
All the emoting.
The actor or the the James Sunderland interaction with the other characters and whatnot in the game. I think it's very, like, it really had me entranced and enthralled. So based on this one alone, I guess I'm going to go with Luke Roberts from Silent Hill 2.
I am tempted to go Star Wars Outlaws just to like reclaim a little bit of pride over that early prediction. I am instead going to go Melina Juergens from Senua's Saga, because every performance, or every time I see a clip of those games, her performance is just, she knocks it out of the park. So that's my choice.
I'm going to go with Hannah Tell for Life is Strange. A lot of F-bombs in that game. And you know what? I like F-bombs. Probably not a whole lot of F-bombs in the rest of the game. So, and you know, like I was looking at this and I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be easy. Cause you know, like Troy Baker's going to be there somewhere, you know, like the classics, right? And I'm like, oh, damn it.
Novel idea.
Next year.
Right.
Next year, we actually play all the games that are up for Game of the Year. So we can have a very good idea of like what we're selecting here.
Thing is, we don't know until it's like 2 weeks out, right? So at the end of the day, for us at least, you would have to play a crap ton of games over that week, right, for us to get ready. So
that's when you take your vacation at work. It's like, all right, I got my other job requires this.
I know I get off for Thanksgiving next week, but I need a week this week.
And finally, last but not least, we have the best independent game. Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei, and the Laser Eyes, Neva, or UFO 50.
So I'm going to go Balatro. That is like the indie darling of the year. Clearly, like I haven't heard anything bad about it. I know when it was nominated for Game of the Year category as well, there was a lot of like, are you kidding me? It's this dumb little poker game. And then it was Drink a Beer, Play a Game on Blue Sky. I saw that they posted the only people who are upset about Balatro being nominated for Game of the Year are people who never played Balatro.
Okay.
And it is that good. I played it a little bit. We got it last night, played it yesterday, woke up this morning thinking that I wonder if I have time to go play a couple rounds before I start working. So it's a roguelike poker game, and I can tell already that is going to steal a lot of my sleep. Very dangerous. So that's my pick for indie game.
Ryan, what about you?
That one's a tough one. Because Balatro already got the nod for Game of the Year, right? Mm-hmm. Neva got the nod for Best Direction.
They can win multiple.
Yeah.
Remember Stray?
That's true. That's true. I think I'm going to go with Neva on this one. I think it looks just so freaking good. But I would not be surprised if Balatro won this one.
I don't know much about Balatro other than what you just said. It's a card game. It's a poker game, deck builder game, and stuff like that. UFO 50 looks like it's a compilation of all the classic games. Like you've got River City Ransom, you've got volleyball, basketball, and all this stuff, even Operation Wolf in there. I don't know if something like that could win Best Independent Game because it's a rehash of all the things that have come before. The one that I look at initially is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. That's a game I think I want to check out. So I think I'm going to go with Lorelei and the Laser Eyes for Best Indie Game.
Nice.
Okay. So the picks are in. They cannot be changed. Locked and loaded. And then we shall see. We shall see who shall gain bragging rights for Podcast Daddy for the year.
For the entire year.
For the entire year.
I didn't know that was on the docket.
You guys said that yourselves last year.
Yeah.
I can't be expected to remember these things.
That's why you can go back and listen to the old episodes.
Yeah, that's why we record it.
And let's go ahead and take a look at our top 3 new releases for the week.
All right, starting off with Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, Xbox X and S and PC. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone has changed dramatically after the second massive explosion in the year 2006. Violent mutants, deadly anomalies, and warring factions have made the zone a very tough place to survive. Making your choices wisely as they determine your fate through the unique gameplay built on a blend of SPF, horror, and immersive sim. Number 2 is Locomotive, Switch and PC. On the Royce Express, a passenger has been murdered, and you're the prime suspect. Uncover a thrilling mystery and solve a satisfying point-and-click puzzles to prove your innocence in this slapstick adventure packed with deadly surprises, shocking twists, and larger-than-life characters. And finally, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Xbox S and X and PC. Put your reputation and complete certifications to gain access to authentic aviation activities ranging from medevac, remote cargo ops, aerial firefighting, search and rescue, and more, and all the way becoming an airline passenger transport pilot. Set out on a truly global aviation adventure with virtually unlimited missions across the planet. So, taking a look at these three. Blue, what are you going with?
I don't want any of these.
Oh, no!
So you've got Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, first-person shooter. No, thank you. Locomotive, I will admit it looks clever. It looks fun. I just do not have the patience for point-and-click games.
Even like an Agatha Christie kind of like...
I find them so boring. Sit there and click on every little thing and see if something does something. It makes me crazy. And then Microsoft Flight Simulator, I can't think of a more boring thing to pay money to do than to fly a plane, a fake plane. I'm going to fly it from here to here. Woo! So I know that people love this series. I know. And if that's your jam, then I apologize. I am no fun, apparently. But yeah, nothing for me this week.
If you're riding on a plane and all of a sudden somebody says, can anybody fly a plane on here?
After the guy who's got 700 hours in Microsoft Flight Simulator?
Yeah!
Don't worry, I've got this. I played Flight Simulator.
No, sit your ass down. Sit your ass down.
Are you a pilot? No, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Right, exactly. That's the same vibe.
All right, so a big fat 0.
Yeah, the chat is expressing their interest in Stalker 2. So there you go.
Okay.
It's just me who doesn't like it.
Big fat 0 from Blue. Ryan, what about you?
So Microsoft Flight Simulator has never been something that's been interesting to me. Flight Simulator's been around for decades, right?
Yeah.
And I always found it to be a snooze fest. Again, that to Blue's point, that's my experience with it. My brother loved Flight Simulator growing up, so he was into it. That was his jam. But just for something about me, just you know what, it was just like, okay, yay. Where's the action? Where's the explosions? We need to see something cool. Yeah. Which brings up Stalker 2. I think it looks fantastic. Blend of FPS, horror, immersive simulations. It looks cool. I will say that. What?
I'm sorry. Corporate Game Dev says Flight Simulator is the FIFA of the transportation
Well played. Well played.
We didn't update the mechanics for 2024. We just put a new paint job on all the planes.
Yeah, new planes in your roster.
Oh my God, that was funny.
It looks really good as far as Stalker for Heart of Chernobyl, because I think too is it's got that like dark, dank look and feel to it. So I think it definitely fits the whole horror sim piece to it. So definitely not something that I would say no immediately, but something I would certainly keep my eye on. Which brings me to Locomotive. I think this is really cool. I would love Murder on the Orient Express. And that's what this sounds like. It's like a point-and-click adventure for Murder on the Orient Express. I don't know why nobody thought of this before, because that would just play so well, I think, into a game. And it also kind of feels a little bit like Among Us, mixed in there with it. So, yeah, I'd be all in for this. This sounds super, super fun. I like point-and-click because apparently... You and I share the don't want to drive a plane thing, but I'm okay clicking around the screen to go find stuff. So I'm going to go with Locomotive. This one is the one I'm most excited for.
All right. I like it.
What about you, Donnie?
So Stalker 2, I'm looking at it and you're right, Ryan, it looks dark. It looks dank. It looks interesting, but like initially when I saw it was first person, I was like, oh, looks like something like Still Wakes the Deep. Oh, and then now you have a gun. I was like, okay. I'm not going to write it off simply because it's a first-person shooter. I'd have to delve into it a little bit more to see if I actually want to put more time into playing it. So we're going to put Stalker 2 on the shelf. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I've dabbled with Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've tried to tell myself that I want to start playing Microsoft Flight Simulator and actually learn how to pilot a plane.
You're going to get a rig and everything?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go that far and go whole hog and spend $10,000 on a rig to fly a plane. I'm afraid of flights. I don't really like flying, but this would be a nice way to actually learn how to fly a plane without actually having people's lives at stake and whatnot. And if anything ever happened to where I'm on a flight to Vegas and like somebody kicks open the cockpit, who can land the plane? I can. I would love to be able to do that. But Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is one that I'm not picking up this week. I, however, am picking up Locomotive. Locomotive comes out tomorrow. Mm-hmm. It looks hilarious and fun and cheesy and slapstick. I love point-and-click adventure games. I fell in love with King's Quest and Leisure Suit Larry whenever I was a kid. Even like Shadowgate, those are point-and-click to an extent because you have to click on different things and combine different things and whatnot. And seeing the story, reading the story, and seeing the stuff that's happening right now in the trailer, I'm all in. I love this kind of art style, and I've always loved point-and-click games. So Locomotive is my pick, and I'm playing it tomorrow. I'm going to pick it up, and I will be able to report back on Locomotive as to how it plays.
Clayman71 says Donnie's going to make you guys address him as Captain G.
Aye, Captain. All right, before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. This week's question is, what is your favorite Flash game? Let Bill know your answer by sending him a tweet at A Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter. Flash game.
So for everyone who's not familiar, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, Flash, there was a series of Flash type games that were available out on the internet. A lot of them are really simple, but they were also super, super fun. And it's funny because there was one that I used to play specifically in like computer class. Right. And I got in trouble for playing it a few times, but it's basically the same concept of like Worms Armageddon, right? Where you're aiming a gun at another guy and it shoots and then that explodes. And then all of a sudden the whole desire is to try to get a direct hit on another tank that's across away from you. Right. So you're kind of aiming at each other. I tried to find the name of that game. I searched and searched and searched. So apparently it doesn't exist anymore. Which is also super disappointing because there's a lot of Flash games out there that do not exist whatsoever on the internet anymore. But yeah, that was kind of like a unique time. It was something that was, I would say it's like the pre-mobile games, essentially, right? They were stupid, they were easy, they were simplistic, and they were time wasters, but they were fun.
Yeah.
Do either of you have a favorite Flash game?
I think my favorite Flash game was called Bookworm. It was just a silly little word game. You had a little character of a worm down on the bottom left of the screen. And then the playing field, it was kind of like Boggle, if you know what that is, where it would be a bunch of tiles with random letters. And then you had to connect adjoining tiles to make words. And then once you made a word, then those tiles would disappear. And then gradually it would get more and more difficult where there'd be special kind of tiles like red ones, which would catch fire and burn up the screen if you didn't use them, stuff like that. So, just a simple little time waster, but it was so fun.
Nice.
My favorite Flash game was Clippy.
Looks like you're trying to shut up, Clippy.
All right, kids. Well, as you may or may not be aware, this is an epic, magical time of year. This is the time of year when the gaming industry rushes their products to market in a mad dash to capitalize on that all-important holiday shopping season. So this week of November 17th to 24th alone, we are celebrating the anniversary of the release of 9 different consoles and dozens of groundbreaking titles. So tonight for our trivia game, that is going to be the theme of our questions. And
Great.
I am going to be the trivia master. It is my turn. And we shall now make Ryan and Donnie fight for our amusement. So I've got 10 questions. Split into 2 categories, Nintendo and not Nintendo.
Oh.
Okay.
So who wishes to go first?
Donaldo, I'll leave it up to you.
Oh, you'll allow it? Fine. I'll go first.
Do you want Nintendo or not Nintendo?
Sorry. Let's go with Nintendo.
Okay. This first one is multiple choice.
Okay.
Which Nintendo handheld was released on November 20th? And I will give you a bonus point if you can name the year. So is it the Game & Watch, the OG Game Boy, the Nintendo DS, or the Switch Lite?
I don't think it was the original Game Boy. I don't think it was released for the holiday season. So it was the Watch, the original Game Boy, the DS, or the Switch Lite?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with the DS.
That is correct.
Oh, yes! All right!
So I'll give you a bonus point if you can give me the year.
The Nintendo DS probably would have been 2004?
Is that your final answer?
No? No. No, because the Game Boy Advance SP came out in that time frame. The DS, I would say 2009. Final answer.
The correct answer is 2004.
Oh! Always go with your gut. Always go with your damn gut.
Always go with your gut. Ryan, Nintendo or not Nintendo?
Nintendo.
Okay. The Wii released on November 19, 2006. Thusly, this also marks the release anniversary of Wii Sports. How many points do you need to reach a pro rank in any Wii Sports game?
Points do you need to reach? Oh, so it was like a ranking, right? Like kind of like chess or whatever. To get a pro rank. But I think it was like the chess system. So I want to say 1,800 points.
That is incorrect.
I don't get multiple choice.
Donnie, do you want to take a stab at it?
I'll stab at like 5,000?
1,000.
Oh,
Okay.
1,000?
Nice, wonderful round number of 1,000.
Okay.
All right.
Donnie, you are up.
Let's go with not Nintendo.
Which 2 Xbox consoles were released on November 22nd? And again, a bonus point if you can name the years. This is, you basically got a 50-50 here.
What 2 Xbox consoles?
What 2 Xbox consoles were released on November 22nd?
Why would it be 50-50 when there's like 4 Xbox consoles?
So 2 of them happened to release on a November 22nd of any given year.
Okay. All right. Fuck. All right. Let's just go with the original Xbox, and I want to say the Xbox 360. Let's do that. The original Xbox and the Xbox 360.
You are partially correct.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a half point. Ryan.
So I don't know which one he got correct though.
That's exactly it.
That sucks. I'm going to say he got the 360 correct, and I'm going to say it's the Xbox One.
You are 100% correct.
Damn you!
So, Ryan, for a bonus point, give me the years of both of those.
Oh, no. I don't.
I think the Xbox 360 came out in like 2005, 2006. Let's say it was 2006.
And the one?
The one came out in 2012.
You are so close. The 360 came out November 22nd, 2005. And then the one came out November 22nd, 2013.
Damn it. Okay.
So close. Ryan, you're up.
Let's non-Nintendo this bitch.
Retro says, I sadly would have gotten that one wrong, and I'm the Xbox guy. All right. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was released on November 24th, 1992. How did Sega's marketing department refer to that day?
Oh, Jesus. It's probably some stupid pun, too. It's got to be a really dumb pun.
Yeah.
Tick-tock, tick-tock. I'm going to pass it to Donnie.
I know.
TikTok, mother.
All Tails Day.
No. Do you have a guess, Donnie?
The day the Earth didn't stand still?
It's Sonic Tuesday.
See, I
knew the number 2.
Pun.
Ducks in Disguise says the chili dog dogacalypse. Ooh, that's
chili
a tough one.
dogacalypse.
Dogacalypse?
Chili
Yeah, whatever.
dogacalypse.
Funny joke to read. Not
For
gonna
me,
say it.
it was Tuesday.
For me, it was Tuesday.
M. Bison.
Donnie, your turn.
Let's go with Nintendo.
All right. The Wii U released on November 18, 2012. At the time, Nintendo could not gain possession of the domain name WiiU.com because it was already owned by a company called Oceanside Capital Corporation, who was using the letters WIIU as an acronym. What did the domain name WIIU.com stand for?
We invest in you?
Yes.
Was it really?
Yes. Did you really not know that?
No, I didn't. It made sense. You're talking about an investment firm, and they have I'm just putting. I was like, well, we invest in. There you go.
Damn.
Holy shit, that was off the top of my head. I got it.
The domain Wii U was registered on behalf of the company back in 2004. Nintendo, as is their norm, sued Oceanside to try to get the domain, but they were unsuccessful.
Oh my God.
That's amazing. Simon Astor says, we just witnessed a nat 20.
Roll for initiative.
That's amazing. Okay, Ryan.
Oh,
Man, this is like the Tyson Jake Paul fight. I'm just saying.
No, you're holding on. You're just
let's do non-Nintendo.
The PlayStation 3, released in North America on November 17, 2006. It's widely known that this was Sony's most expensive console at the time, with a launch price of $599. However, that price was still not enough to cover production costs. How much money did Sony lose on PS3 console sales by the end of the 2007 fiscal year?
Do I get a ballpark? Can I get like a multiple choice on this one? Because this one seems extremely specific.
Yeah. $1 or $1 trillion.
Right.
You know?
Is this like Price is Right? Closest without going over.
Sure. If you can get the correct number of zeros.
All right. So I'm going to say it's in the $10 million range.
No. Donnie, do you
Screw
have a guess?
everybody.
A miraculous guess.
So total off for the fiscal year?
Yes.
2007?
Yeah, give us a ballpark. Correct number of zeros.
I'm going to say in the 100 millions.
They lost $2 billion US.
Wow.
Holy shit.
By the end of the 2007 fiscal year.
Good Lord.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Need to do some gaming history on that one. Jesus.
No kidding.
Donnie, you're up.
All right, let's do non-Nintendo. And my hands are up here, so no, everybody sees that I'm not typing. I'm not looking at anything.
World of Warcraft, released on November 23rd, 2004, but it almost looked very different from what fans now know of the game. What was the game setting originally going to be?
Game setting? I have no idea. Holy smokes, he can type with his toes? Let me just type up the answer here.
No, your mom doesn't wear them, so.
Feet action. There's no ranch on those. Original setting. I mean, it was set in Azeroth, so I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay, Ryan, do you have a guess?
Patterson, New Jersey.
Yes.
Paramus, New Jersey. Hold on, give me a second. I'm going to say the Outworld or the Outlands. Let's just say that.
No.
Okay.
Early concepts had the game taking place 100 years in the future in a dark Gothic setting where the wars of orcs and humans were long done. However, it wasn't long before the team decided to stick to the setting and tone that fans already love.
I was going to say just that.
Can you imagine humans and orcs cyberpunk? I might be in for that.
Post-apocalyptic cyberpunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're up, Ryan. I have one more non-Nintendo and two more Nintendos.
Well, let's just do Nintendo then.
The GameCube released in North America on November 18, 2001, and was available for purchase in several colors. Name them.
Silver, purple, black, and I mean, there was like the orange one that came later that you could get that I don't even think was in the US. Are we doing US only too? These are all important questions.
I've got 4 answers.
Okay. All right. So purple, silver, black, and like smoke. Which one am I freaking missing? And the thing is, Donnie's gonna. Yeah, Donnie's gonna freaking grab it. All right, I got the 3. 3/4 of a point.
3/4 of a point. Donnie, what's the one that he's missing?
I believe it's the orange one.
Yeah. You had it, and then you took it back. So good news. With one question left in each category, you are both tied at 2 3/4 points.
Really? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Even though Donnie pulled out the "We invest in you,"
Red Ox says, "I was going to go with the pretty Seafoam one. They have the local game store. That does sound nice."
Ooh.
Okay.
Last one.
Last
in
one.
Each category, right?
In each category.
All right. Let's go with non-Nintendo.
The Sega Saturn, released in Japan on November 22nd, 1994. There were a total of 1,046 games produced for the Sega Saturn. How many of these were Sonic games? And I will give you a bonus point if you can name them.
There was Sonic Adventure was Dreamcast, so Sonic Unleashed, I think. Let me look over there on my shelf.
Cheating motherfucker.
Sonic Unleashed. Sonic 3D Blast. I want to say 2.
No.
Damn. Okay.
Ryan, do you have an idea?
4.
No.
Wow.
So there were 3 Sonic games. Sonic R.
Come on.
Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic Jam.
Sonic Jam. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it comes down to one question. Who's going to be the winner?
And he gets the crack at it.
Okay, Ryan, you're up first. The Super Nintendo released in Japan on November 21st, 1990. Why did Nintendo decide to move shipments of the console only at night?
This one is because of the Yakuza. And I've heard, though, that this is actually a myth. So, but the answer is the Yakuza.
Yes, that is correct.
This is bullshit.
You're going to have to cheat harder next time.
I knew it as soon as you said that. I was like, oh, Japanese Mafia, because we covered that before. God damn it.
Well, that's all for trivia. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
And I hope you are celebrating lots of gaming anniversaries this week.
Yoshi sound effect on fire tonight. Yes, it will be.
Yes.
At least this trivia didn't determine who's podcast daddy for the next year.
No, that's much more important.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode on that note. Thank you for listening to episode 142 of Gamers Week Podcast. And a big thank you to the Retro Game Club Podcast, Love Retro PTW, A Gamer Looks at 40 Podcast, and Pixel Pond Production Company for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter at GamersWeekPC or Blue Sky at gamersweekpc.bsky.social. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/GamersWeekPodcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. Also remember that there will be no new episodes for the next 2 weeks, but we will be back on Friday, December 13th. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of this episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, and your podcast platform of choice. And what were you guys laughing at?
Oh, mine was when Frank said, "It's nice to see Blue happy after a trivia game."
He's not wrong. Maybe I should run the trivia every time.
Yeah, because you definitely don't like playing it.
It's not my thing. It's not my
I know.
thing. I'm not going to apologize for that.
You don't have to.
Ramboski says, have a good night. Take care. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. We hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everybody in the U.S. who's celebrating. And we will miss you the next 2 weeks.
Definitely. We definitely hope you have a great week with family and loved ones and everything like that, and get yourself stuffed in a good way.
It's like, where's he going with
really
this?
open for interpretation.
You can spread anything on my toes.
But I won't do ranch. But I won't do.
I would take any condiment for love.
But I won't take ranch. Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VDSTDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
That was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.